Dun, dun, dun. An Evening at the Movies is a proud member of the I Did Not Make These Rankings podcast network. Other shows in the network include Mass Debaters, The Sip List, Crushgasm, Love is Black, Men Are the Prize, Crime Rewind, and Literature Rebrews. You can find out all about our shows and more at idnmtrpodcastnetwork.com. Happy listening. You are now entering the world of a movie review. A world full of drama, joy, ridicule, movie spoilers, unpopular opinions, and adult humor for as far as the eye can see. Welcome to An Evening at the Movies.
Hi, everybody. It is Sunday. It feels like it's been forever since we've done Movie Sunday because we've been all over the place with every other recording. But we're back on Sundays, at least for this week. So it is An Evening at the Movies. And I mean, you all know the drill. Podcast where we eat stale popcorn, we drink the watered down sodas, we watch all of our favorite movies, and we talk about them, and we discuss why we love them. And it is a very special time of the year. But before I get into the whole reasons as to why it is a very special time of the year, um, we have to welcome everybody's favorite co-host and her overly festive headdress that she's wearing today.
I mean, it's a
Hi,
4th of
co-host.
July movie. Hi. So I've got my remnants from our party the other day, my festive headband, my festive earrings, and my So Long London Taylor Swift themed 4th of July shirt. So uh not that, I'm feeling super patriotic per se, but I used to always be a patriotic person. So I use July 4th as just a day to dream of what I wish we could be and to blow shit up with my friends. So don't mistake my
Yeah, and
festivity for being in love with America right now because that's not the case, but I just still freaking love 4th of July. It makes me want a hot
well,
dog
and
real bad.
okay, Jennifer Coolidge.
Exactly.
And um, so we currently wrapped up um, our month on classic Hollywood, which was a incredibly successful theme. So, want to say thank you to the listeners for checking us out each and every week and enjoying and coming back as we kept talking about more and more classics. Um, the number of views that we had the entire month last month was astounding. So thank you
Yeah.
for that. You guys are awesome and we appreciate you. But I feel like it is time to take that number and blow it up because we're going to do something super fun this month. And we're going to celebrate the amazing wonderment that is Summerween.
Happy, happy
Co-host,
Summerween, Summerween, Summerween. Happy, happy Summerween, Silver Shamrock.
and
I've
how did
been
I know?
waiting all day to do that. Sorry.
Oh, Jesus,
I
Jesus
I
fix it.
promise not to
Um,
do it more than 3 more times.
there's only three other movies in
Oh,
the
I
month.
meant today. I meant today.
Oh, oh,
I just
so
meant this episode.
basically
I'll limit it to 3 more
four
times.
four times a week then.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold my breath. I'm I was born, but I was not born yesterday. Let's be honest.
Wah,
Um,
wah.
so
One of us gotta
this,
get soundboard up in here. Anyway.
I mean, I have one. I just need to figure out how to get it set up and working. and
Well,
I
this
feel
is
like,
off topic, but I might be getting one because my stupid ass did something really, really stupid yesterday. George was mad at me for like half a day, and I'm trying to undo it. But if I can't, I'm going to be podcasting my ass off. Accidentally subscribed to a year of StreamYard and got charged $432. So, yeah,
oh
if I
shit.
can't get that money back, you and I are sharing a StreamYard and splitting it halfsies because two people can podcast on the same account with different stuff. And the SIP list will be back, and I will be podcasting my ass off because that money ain't going to waste.
Okay. So, spoiler alert. Then the SIP list will be back. Literature Reapers will be back. Evening at the Movies will be.
I'll keep hosting the drafts. That's what got this going is hosting the draft, and I was trying to fix something, and I thought I clicked just to buy it for the month because my account is on hold, and I didn't know how to
Uh-huh.
reactivate it. I paused it for like 3 months because I'm not paying $45 a month for something I'm not using. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was panicking and trying to host at the same time, and dumbass me clicked the wrong thing. So
No, because that was the whole. Because you had thought you still had another hour when you didn't have an hour,
yeah,
and
I was messed up, and I wasn't even
Thursday
drunk
was
or high. I just yeah.
Thursday was chaotic.
Yeah. George and I are
So
playing cards, and you were like, "That's in 3 minutes," and I'm like, "No, it's in an hour." And then George goes, "Aren't you supposed to? That's like in 3 minutes." And I was like, "What time is it?" I don't know. We haven't drafted in a while. I haven't had to keep track of three separate time zones in a minute. So it is what it is, and here we
yeah.
are. All that to say, if I'm
So
stuck with this, I will be getting a soundboard to make these episodes more fun because I already spent the money.
yeah.
Anyway,
So all
Summerween.
right. So Summerween. This, for those of you who do not know, everybody's favorite co-host came up with the idea for Classic Hollywood Month and as well Summerween. So for those of you who don't know what Summerween is, co-host, would you like to explain to everybody?
Yeah, Summerween is just celebrating Halloween in the summer. It's having a summertime horror movie fest, and I don't know that it specifically means this, but what we decided to do, and yes, we watch horror all year long, but this is not just watching horror. This is embracing all that is Halloween in the summertime. So,
Mhm.
we are bringing you a month of summer themed horror movies. And I mean, what's cooler than that? Everybody likes slashers and scary stuff set at summer camp and the lake and the ocean and whatever. 4th of July. Just goes to show you got to be
I
safe
mean,
on 4th of July. This is a public service
I mean,
announcement.
spoiler alert for next month, though. I mean, it's not like we're ending the horror celebration anytime soon. If we're doing Hitchcock in August, that's a different kind of horror, but it's still horror.
Now, it's not all horror,
Rolling it,
but yeah,
no, but and then rolling into September with Stephen King birthday bonanza, it's like we're gonna horror you guys out big time over the next few months.
I'm always horroring myself out. It's all right.
You said it, not me.
Yeah,
So,
so we're pretending it's Halloween, but it's 100 degrees outside, at least where I'm at. So,
so for those of you people with the freaking red hats with the little white Christmas ball hanging off of it and all that shit, you guys have your Christmas in July. We're
yeah,
getting our Halloween in July with Summerween.
exactly.
So there you go.
So today I am still 4th of July themed because it was 2 days ago and it's still the weekend and we're doing a 4th of July movie. But after this, I will be horror out for the rest of the month. Horror,
I
horror.
mean, for those of you who don't know, because I've been saying it at the end of every episode for the last probably month or so. We've got the 50th anniversary celebration for Jaws coming up.
Dun, 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 dun,
Uh,
dun, 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 dun.
We've got Friday the 13th Part 2 coming up as well, otherwise known as Friday the 13th Meets the Strangers.
Yeah. It's Potato Sack Jason. Woo!
We'll be talking It Chapter 1 as well, otherwise known as the good one of the modern day sequels.
I'll be floating on a gummy.
Mm,
You'll
yeah, because
float too. You'll
we,
float too.
we all know how Amanda feels about the clowns. So it's Pennywise, not Art the Clown. So she'll at least be here for that one.
Yeah.
And then the
I'll be
other
here for Art the
episode.
Clown. I'm just not watching the movie. I can just give my shit commentary if you want, but I'm not watching the movie again.
Well, I'm not letting everybody in just yet on that episode because there's some things that have to happen for that
Right.
to unfold. And you and I know what those things are that need to unfold for that to happen is.
Right.
And I'm not wasting that episode on not having that one aspect available
Right.
for
Anyway.
for said episode, and the fact that it would be his birthday episode too. So, um, but yes, and the last movie that we are discussing for Summerween is this week's episode. And for those of you who don't know what we did last summer or what we
You don't
are
want to
doing
know.
today, you don't. For those of you who don't know what we did a couple Septembers ago in Oklahoma and Dallas, that's a whole nother story. But I digress.
Dogs and cats
We will be
living together. Anarchy.
mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria. That
Um,
was it.
we are discussing, though, I Know What You Did Last Summer, which felt like it very much deserved a Summerween episode,
Of course.
especially due to the fact that, one, it fits the idea of what we wanted to go with for Summerween. But on top of it, you have the Legacy sequel that is coming out in, I believe, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who may not have recently watched I Know What You Did Last Summer, we are here to discuss, review, talk shit, share love, everything that there is to talk about with the movie. So,
Yes.
with all that said, are we ready to rip the band aid off?
Let's do it.
I Know What You Did Last Summer released on October 17th, 1997. How in the hell is this movie that old?
Mm,
But I digress. It was directed by Jim Gillespie, released by Columbia Pictures, had a $17 million budget with a whopping $125.3 million box office.
nice.
Um, if you have not seen it and want to see it, I believe it is available to stream on the Prime if your Prime is linked to like an MGM Plus
Yeah.
subscription. Otherwise, your cheap asses are going to have to rent it. So,
Yeah. You can do the free trial and then just cancel it the next day.
yes. So, co-host, I have a question for you.
Okay.
I have a Rotten Tomato score, and I have a popcorn meter score.
Okay.
Are you ready to be a Summerween whore with your Rotten Tomato scores?
Yeah. So I don't know because I know that the critics didn't really like it. I remember Roger Ebert kind of shitting all over it. And it
Spoiler alert: 1 out of 4 stars.
just with it, almost exactly within a year of Scream, and so I think Scream was still kind of overshadowing it. Um,
Yeah, it's literally like almost 11 months to the
right.
day after Scream came out.
Yeah, this movie came out my freshman year of college, and I had fun watching it. But I'm gonna say tomato meter. I'm gonna go with 57%. Popcorn meter. I'm gonna go 66%. I think it's more loved now than it was then.
So evidently, you definitely hoard out your scores because you weren't even fucking close.
They're lower than that? Fuck. Or are they higher? Oh, man. I thought I was
Way
being generous
lower.
going that low. Okay.
Put it this well, the critic or the tomato meter isn't more than 10% off. You were only 8% off with yours. So
Okay.
49% on
Okay.
83 reviews.
Okay.
The popcorn meter, believe it or not, and this one is the one that shocked me. Hold on while I adjust my screen. Um, because evidently the fans did not love this movie more than the critics did. On 250,000 plus reviews, the popcorn meter gave it a 41%.
Wow. I mean, I have some theories as to why that is, but I still didn't expect it to be that low. I mean,
So
again, Scream is still fresh in everyone's minds. It's only been a year or a little less, and Scream was such a groundbreaking movie, and it was so meta, and people just really loved that. People like really, you know, dove into that or whatever. And then two, I think because Kevin Williamson did Scream and was also a part of this movie, um,
people expected one thing and got
people
something totally
expected
different.
something like Scream. And this movie is not meta at all, and I think that's great. I think it's fine. This is like an urban legend kind of movie, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not comparing it to the movie Urban Legend, except for that they're what I'm saying is this movie, while it's based off a book, which we will talk about,
Yeah.
is kind of taking an urban legend, like in scary stories you tell in the dark or whatever, from when we were kids, and then just turned it into a full thing. And I think people were expecting something more like Scream, and so,
So, not to spoil the things I'm going to bring up in my review and throughout the discussion, but while I was putting my notes together for today's episode, I did read something in the reception portion of Wikipedia where one critic, and I don't remember the source, but it was a fairly reputable media outlet, said, and I quote, I know what you did last summer is better than Scream.
interesting.
I don't want to hate on I know what you did last summer, and we'll get into more of this later, but you are out of your goddamn mind if you
Yeah,
think I know
not
what you did last summer is better than Scream.
it's not. And I think the problem too is that there were so many movies that were coming out. Like, I mean, you had, and I get they're not all the same year, but they were all close together. And you got Scream and Scream 2, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Halloween
I still
H2O,
know what you did
Urban
last summer.
Legend, and I
Oh
still know
yeah,
what you like. The This is so it's funny because my friends and I were talking about this the other day, and we talked about it on the podcast about how there's certain movies from the 80s, specifically Spies Like Us, that get overlooked because the market was so saturated with those actors and movies like that. That was like, SNL,
yeah.
how many of these actors can we pimp out to be in all these movies? And so I think when you're just like, just riddled with all of these kinds of movies, it's hard to be a standout. And Scream was the standout. So I get it, but man, I thought I Know What You Did Last Summer would have been better liked than that. Like it was so much fun.
It was, and I agree with what some of the other critics said about it too, where they didn't necessarily go as so far as to say it was better than Scream, but they also said it significantly helped breathe life back into the dwindling 80s slasher
Right.
hype. Because, and nothing against Scream by saying that, but this movie definitely has a strong 80s slasher. Like, there's a list of tropes
Right.
for what makes an 80s slasher, and I Know What You Did Last Summer basically checks off every box on that
Right.
list.
And without being cheesy.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, we know Scream reinvigorated the horror genre, and it doesn't get much better than Scream. Scream is top tier teen slasher horror, and it's just meta enough to make fun of itself enough that it's funny, but
mhm.
it's still a really like. I mean, that movie scared the shit out of me the first time I saw it. Like I was jumping, I was holding my breath, I was grabbing the sides of the chair at the theater. Like it really, really got me. So Scream
Well,
holds a high
there, I've
standard, and you're not ever gonna get
make
much that's
fun
better.
of me, make fun of me if you want, but I've seen I Know What You Did Last Summer several hundred times,
Oh, same.
and there's still, I think, two or three moments where even last night while I was rewatching it and laying in bed, prepping for the episode, where this part popped up and I damn near jumped out of my freaking bed because the jump scare,
Yeah.
bleh. And
Yeah,
then
there's
it happens
specific
again
scenes.
later in the movie, and
Yeah.
boom, there you go. It's like, so to me, if you could still, after that many times, provide enough build intention that people are still, 100 times later after seeing the movie, still jumping in their seat,
Right.
to me, that shows talent. So
Yeah.
hats off to the crew and everybody for being able to create that type of an
Yeah.
environment.
Well, let me run through real quick the awards
Yes,
thing
ma'am.
and the plot of the movie, and then we can get into it. I think we know this movie wasn't nominated for any big awards because horror's always overlooked, and this is like
It was
cheesy TV.
nominated for MTV Movie Awards.
Yeah. So yeah. So speaking of that, MTV Movie Awards, Sarah Michelle Gellar won Best Breakthrough Performance. It won the Saturn Award for, or no, it was nominated for Best Horror Film. The Blockbuster Entertainment Awards. Jennifer Love Hewitt won Favorite Female Newcomer. Sarah Michelle Gellar won Favorite Actress in a Horror Movie. And then the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards. Jennifer Love Hewitt won for Chick You Don't Want to Mess With. So it's pretty cool. It was nominated for a few other
Is
like
she though?
not I don't know, not really in my opinion, but
I mean, I would make an argument that Nev Campbell is more a chick that you don't want to mess with than
that was the year before.
True. But
So
I mean, she didn't necessarily all out beat uh, Hooky Fisherman's ass at the end of the movie either.
oh, it's Chick You Don't Want to Mess With in quotations best heroine. And it looks like they must have made that award up for her, or it must have been new because there was no other nominees in
Oh,
98.
well,
So
okay.
so all right. For the people that don't know, just in case, I know what you did last summer. A year after running over a fisherman and dumping his body in the water, four friends reconvene when Julie receives a frightening letter telling her that their crime was seen. While pursuing who he thinks is responsible for the letter, Barry is run over by a man with a meat hook. The bloodletting only increases from there as the killer with the hook continues to stalk Julie, Helen, and Ray. Dun dun dun.
Arr,
He had a giant hook.
I'm gonna hook you.
I do love there. So during that part where they're all sitting around the campfire and they're telling the scary stories, and so Julie is right. These stories were made up to warn young girls of the dangers of having premarital sex. Almost all of these urban legends like that, like the babysitter ones and whatever, that is all what those were for, but also may have come from some kind of like, lore. And so Ray is like, no, it all comes from stuff that really happened. And it's like, no, it didn't really happen. It's a made up story. But, I didn't like that Ray was like, well, actually, and you know how intimidated I am by your IQ. You dick, shut up.
Yeah,
um, but I did like that they took that urban legend, that I mean, story directly out of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and then, you know, turn it into this whole thing. Um, And I guess before we get into it, we should say that it is based on a book that was written in 1973. It was like young adult, you know, horror, and a lot of it is the same. The writer, Lois Duncan, the author, was not thrilled that they turned it into this huge slasher because the book wasn't really like that. And I think the
no.
other thing, which is really sad, is that the author in real life, her daughter was murdered and the murder was never solved. So I think she also took issue with the movie being so gory and slashery because, she had experienced that trauma. So that was kind of sad.
Yeah,
But it is based on a young adult thriller. If anybody wants to go read it by Lois Duncan, you can check that out. I haven't read it, but I think I might. So,
I have,
oh,
and
you have? Okay.
there are notable differences between the movie and the book.
Yeah.
Obviously, um, I don't think the book is horribly bad. I don't think. I mean, it's like the phrase said. It's based off of, so it is what it is. But yeah, there is definitely some differences, and Lois Duncan feels about this adaptation like Stephen King feels about The Shining.
Yeah.
So I digress.
So,
But I can also understand why she also feels that way, though, too.
right. I mean, that
Especially
real life
going
tragedy.
through
Yeah. That's
that
awful.
was, yeah. So,
So let's talk about the opening because this is one of my favorite scary movie openings. And I feel like the Prom Night remake kind of ripped it off, but they're both still really good. But I love this, Typo Negatives cover of Summer Breeze. It's like it's not yacht rocky like the original one, but it's still kind of slow, and they make it's so ominous. Like it was the perfect song to like have play
mhm.
over these crashing waves and these mountains and these cliffs and this winding road and this dude sitting on the edge of the cliff twirling this little necklace. And then like this opening is such a great opening. Like as far as just being not like a Scream type opening where it directly goes into the action, but just the rolling the credits and like getting you into the scene. I really, really love it.
it sets the it sets the tone for the movie,
Yeah, faux show.
which yeah, and I agree 100%. It's not like Scream where Scream flashes up on the screen. There's a CGI slash across the screen, and all of a sudden you're thrust into the middle of
Someone screaming.
the story. Yeah,
Right.
you know, it kind of slowly builds the mood, but doesn't dilly dally around while doing it either.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's letting you know that something bad is going to happen, but it's not going to happen right now because then it goes into this, the guy's sitting on the cliff and then all of a sudden there's fireworks. And then you hear the 4th of July parade music and you go into the little pageant and the party and it's all very like teen summer, at the Cape, like whatever. It's very, you know, this movie to me is like if a Nicholas, what?
teens and pageant in this movie are those two adjectives you want to put together?
I don't, what?
30-year-old pageant contestants.
Oh, fair. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to get to that. Yeah. Who are these women in both the first pageant and the one the year later? Like, Helen is the only one that could even pass for a teenager. They all look like they're 30 years old.
And I mean, when Amanda and I were talking about this, oh God, a couple weeks ago, I happened to look it up, and yeah, so Sarah Michelle Gellar at the time this came out was like 20 and a half years old. So
Yeah.
again, not
Freddie
a
Prinze
teenager,
Jr.
but
was the only one over 21. So,
oh yeah, because he revealed at like the 20th anniversary time or whatever that he was the buyer in the
right.
cast who
He bought all the
would
booze
go
because
out
nobody
and bought everybody's booze because nobody else was 21 at the time, and Ryan and Sarah tended to be the Hellraisers, renting
Yeah,
cars
I
and
read
getting
a
them stuck on
story
the
about
freaking
them
bluff.
crashing
And
a car or getting stuck in the sand. That's
yeah,
funny.
so evidently it was a good time, a hot time in the old town tonight on the set of I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I feel like those two would have hooked up if Ryan hadn't already been with Reese Witherspoon. She got him this role.
So
So,
I was good. Yeah, I have that in my note actually.
oh, nice.
Ryan's at the time girlfriend Reese Witherspoon auditioned for, um, and according to what I read, was offered the role but turned it down. But then the director and the casting director asked who she thought would be a hot, young up, yuck and coming, young up and coming actor that they could cast in the movie, and she recommended her boyfriend Ryan Phillippe, who would go on to get cast as everybody knows Mr. Barry Cox.
Yeah. I couldn't have pictured Reese Witherspoon in this movie. Like,
I'm
and
not gonna lie, I couldn't
sorry, but
picture the other person.
she doesn't
I have
have the
another
boobs
person.
sorry, she doesn't have the boobs that Jennifer Love Hewitt has. And let's face it, 30% of this movie is about her boobs. The amount of times that they show her cleavage in this movie, it's like, okay, we get it. She has a great rack. Can we move on?
I mean, that's what it is. But I also have the name of somebody else who was offered a part in this movie that turned it down as well,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
couldn't see that. I couldn't see that person in this movie either.
Yeah. Sabrina the Teenage Witch would not have been good in this movie.
No, no offense to Melissa Joan Hart, but
Yeah.
no. But
I
evidently,
think nailed the
according to
casting.
her, she turned it down because she felt the movie felt too much like Scream.
Right.
I don't know what the hell movie you were reading the script for, lady. To me, this movie doesn't feel like Scream at all.
But that's what a lot of people like said about it. It was just a ripoff of Scream. And I'm like, because it's a teen slasher movie, I mean, that's a really loose connection. Like,
But
it didn't
uh,
try to do the whole
like
meta thing like Scream did. Like, it's its own story. It follows the horror tropes, yes, but for it to be an imitation of Scream, it would have had to do some of the kind
Mhm.
of genius things that Scream did, specifically the meta, the making fun of itself, the bringing in like Easter eggs from other horror movies. Like this movie didn't do that. It's very straightforward. You've got part 1, part 2, part 3, slasher, handbook, but it's still really well done. Like I just
Yeah.
I don't get people saying that, but that's what a lot of people say, and I think that's stupid.
No, I think people have opinions, and some of them are like assholes. They stink.
Yeah.
So,
So what I was gonna say before, like talking about like the opening and then kind of going into to me, this movie feels very much like if like a Nicholas Sparks or Elin Hildebrand book was a horror story. Because you've got like the small town coastal, Cape Cod type feel, and they do a really good
mhm.
job of like the town is almost like its own character. Like you really feel connected to like the town, and it's such a big part of the whole story. Like kind of how all the people are all connected, and it's very small town. The fisherman vibe is very like, it's a quaint little fishing village. Which actually I don't know if you read this, if because I was researching facts, so I'm guessing you were too, that Kevin Williamson comes from a family of fishermen. Well, that was kind
Uh-huh.
of cool. So,
I had that in my notes.
um, okay, I have to start off with a question.
Okay.
The
I,
fuck is Elsa's problem? Why is she such a raging cunt? Like, I don't understand.
so,
Like,
like,
I get
literally,
arguing, but
she's rolling out of being Veronica Vaughn in Billy Madison. So nice.
so
Want to touch
hot
the hiney,
to touch the honey.
and then turning into the biggest "see you next Tuesday" in the world. And I know what you did last
Sorry, I
summer.
just threw that out there.
Oh no,
I was really
I
passionate with
actually
that.
wanted to bring that up as well because it's like
Like, is she
they
that
don't really
jealous
address.
of her sister? I mean, that has to be what it
That
is.
would be the old. That would be the only thing I could come up with. They don't address it at all in the book, in the movie. Nowhere does it get brought up why Elsa treats her sister the way she does. I get it,
I mean, I
you know,
don't. She's like, eat me. Like, okay. I mean, and Helen is mean back to her, but it's a reaction. She's not starting the shit.
but
She's just ending the shit.
yeah, I
I don't know. She's got some issues.
I'm I mean it's the beginning of the movie. The whole idea is at the end of the summer, Helen is going to move to New York and start an acting career and all of that. And, maybe part of that is due in large part to the fact that she's getting out of
Yeah.
Southport,
Clearly
and
Elsa isn't.
clearly Elsa isn't.
And then when Helen
But
gets back, it's Elsa, reveling in Helen's failure, and so just mocking it and, pouring salt on the wound. Oh, is the dried out, washed up has been having a moment? Bitch, go fuck yourself. And poor
yeah,
Helen's so beaten down at that point. She's like, you can leave now. Like, just wow. Elsa sucks. I was not sad when she died.
no. And, well, that was one of the sticky points of the movie too. Was the studio wanted that to be a lot more gory,
Oh, I thought it was pretty
and
gory.
oh no, they wanted like full on. They wanted like to full on show everything that happened, and
That would have been too much.
all you really get is, a view over her shoulder while dude freaking slashes her throat, and you get that splotch of blood
That's all you
on the
need.
window.
Yeah, you don't need more than that.
Well, I mean, Art the Clown hung a hooker upside down and cut her in half with a chainsaw.
Fair. But I feel like with Max, you got a good gory kill with Max. You got to see that hook go up through his jaw and then he gets pulled across. Like, I don't think you need to see every, kind of like Helen. You don't
Well,
actually see her die, but you hear it and you see him swinging the hook. Like, that's enough.
so
You don't need to see it.
also too, on top of it, you get the shot of the hook being buried up in her rib cage and him dragging her across the floor
Right.
while her body's at a weird freaking angle
Oh,
because
yeah,
of,
that's so gross.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
that was
then the sheriff's deputy that gets killed
mhm.
when he gets out of the car and tries to help when he shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Stupid idiot. And gets the hook buried in his stomach and, literally goes over backwards while the guy is freaking holding on with the damn hook bedded deep in his freaking bowels.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I feel like this movie had just the right amount of gore. Like, it didn't need to be more. I
It
mean,
wasn't Saw.
yeah. Again, and this will come up heavily in Jaws. In my opinion, there is always more fear and horror in what you can't see versus what you can see. So, I think the sound effects and knowing what's happening and seeing certain parts of it, that's scary enough. It doesn't need to be gratuitous, and I thought this movie did a good job of not of giving you some gore and kind of like where you wanted to cringe, but it wasn't like bad enough that you had to stop watching.
That's one of the things that I have found to, um, going back and rewatching some of this stuff as an adult and looking at it from a different perspective. It's like when I originally watched some of this stuff, I remember it in my mind as being a lot gorier and gross than it was.
Yeah,
And a lot of this stuff, it really isn't. It's just
right,
the way things are built and shown, and like you said, that fear of the unknown and the unseen is more scary than,
right.
you know, act- actually being slapped in the face with a reverse bear trap stuck in somebody's freaking mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, because the fear you create in your own mind is often way worse than what's actually happening. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
exactly.
we'll save that conversation for Jaws because I feel like that's going to be an in depth conversation because
Oh yeah.
it's
So,
part of the horror. So yeah. Um, was there anything you didn't like about the movie?
mm, didn't like per se. I mean, probably my biggest complaint was I don't feel like, and no offense to the person, but to me, Freddie Prince Jr. just didn't feel as much of a solid choice as the other three did.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. He didn't
And I know
his
that was
character didn't
one
feel
of the
very
questions.
authentic to me.
Well, that was one of the complaints that the studio had as well, because when the director initially decided he wanted Freddie in the movie, the studio fought him hard on it because they felt like he was too much like his dad. who
That's
was
dumb. He can't
was a
control that.
well, he's half biologically Freddie Prince's kid, so
And his dad's was a comedian. Like it's not like he was
yeah,
trying to be funny in the movie.
no. I mean, truth be told, he really, if he wasn't that damn funny in the movie to begin with, anyway. But so yeah, it took some finagling and some changes that had to be done, but ultimately, Freddie did end up with the part. It just, to me, at times, he didn't feel like that solid of a choice.
There were
Like
parts where
I,
his acting felt forced. I agree with
yeah,
that.
like legitimately, I could see Jennifer Love Hewitt being that type of person. I could see Sarah Michelle Gellar being that type of person. I could see Ryan Phillippe being, you know, a spoiled rich star quarterback, blah 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 type of person.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it
And I guess to a certain extent, there's parts of Ray that I could see in Freddie, but at times, definitely the performance did feel forced and not 100% authentic.
I mean, that wasn't the problem for me because I could see him as the character. I mean, I felt he, you know, did a good job of fitting like the, you know, poor, fisherman's son who doesn't quite fit in and kind of awkward. Like you could kind of tell he was the odd man out, but there were just some scenes where his acting felt so forced that he wasn't believable. So I could picture Freddie playing the character. That wasn't the problem. It was just the acting didn't always, you know, like level up with the character. So, but I get
It
what you're
makes
saying.
sense.
Yeah.
And, there's this is early on in his career as well.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, he's going to over time mature into a better actor before, he tends to back into retirement. And I mean, he and his wife are both pretty much retired from acting anyway. So,
Right. And still married, which I love. They're such a cute couple. I love it so much. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I love the guy as a person and whatever, but I, to me, he's not a really good actor. I will say I liked him and She's All That, and I liked the completely like he was playing a Barry type character in that movie. And I thought he was really cute and charming. Like that's probably honestly my favorite movie of his because I felt like his acting was really effortless. But Freddie Prinze Jr. isn't really he's not a top tier actor, and that's fine. He makes good movies. He's cute. He's fun. Seems like a decent person. Like I'm okay with all that, but I'm not expecting Oscar level performances out of him. So
no, I mean, I know what you did last summer. I still know what you did last summer, Scooby Doo.
Summer Catch was cute, and like I said, She's All That. I really liked, and again, probably because he wasn't playing,
Mhm.
something too far off. I don't know that I've actually seen him in a serious movie. Now that I think about it, they've all been rom coms or
Yeah, I
horror,
don't.
but whatever. It's
And majority rom com.
yeah. I think the only thing that really bothered me was there were holes in the story that I wanted explanations for. Like, at least with Helen, they gave us well, what happened in New York? Well, I went and it didn't work out. Okay, you get what happened there. I thought it was annoying that when they go to see Barry after she gets the note and she's like, "Are you sure he came back?" And then Helen's like, "Yeah, I saw his car at the gym." And then she's like, "Did you guys break up?"
Why would you ask him if she's sure if he came back if you didn't think they were already broken up? Like I thought that was annoying. Um, and then Ray, I really wanted an explanation for Ray. Well, first of all, I wanted to know what happened between July 4th and when they all went off to college. Did they hang out the rest of the summer? When did Ray and Julie break
Yeah.
up? When did Helen and Barry break up? Like what was their relationships with each other when they went off to college? And then how did Ray end up from going to what we presume probably is NYU or something in New York to like, is he working as a fisherman as a summer job? Did he not go to college? Like, I wanted an answer to that. And I know it's not pivotal to the story. It's just me being whatever, but it
Well,
annoyed
no,
me.
I mean,
Everybody else got their explanation and Ray didn't. He's just portrayed as this loser working on the boats, you know?
well, because you get a little inkling of it when they bump into Ray after Barry and Helen and Julie get back together, and Julie's all like, we had whatever, blah blah blah, but we had our moment. I don't want to see you, I don't want to know you, blah blah blah, and all of that. So it's like obviously something happened either in that brief time between Fourth of July and them going off into the world, or once they went
Right.
off into the world, something happened, and all of it could, and then to literally in a short period of time, we're back full circle again, back to square one, where they're back together, and he's calling her and freaking flirting with her on the damn phone, and
Yeah.
all of that, and then you know flash forward another year into I still know what you did with last summer. They're still together, and
And he's still working as a fisherman.
yeah,
Like what
exactly.
happened at college for him? That's what I need to know. Cuz
I mean, some people don't ever go to college after
but he was supposed to. That's what I'm
whatever.
saying. They were talking about it.
Yeah,
They were talking about her being in Boston and him being in New York. So it's not like it just happened that Ray didn't go to college. They told us he was going to college and then he's a fisherman. So I wish they would have given, just like with Helen, given us some kind of context. He lost his scholarship, he flunked out, he changed his mind, like just something, you know. It bummed me out that everybody else got their, you know, we know Julie's at the same college as Barry, but they never see each other. We know Barry is still by all means a college quarterback and living his best life unbothered by the murder he committed. But yeah. You're muted again. Can't hear you. But other than that, nothing else really bothered me.
it, so really quick before we move on, it felt like they plopped him into that job just so that they had an excuse to have that be a part of the payoff at the end of the movie.
Right.
Otherwise, that whole final chase battle, whatever, makes a little less sense. If that makes,
Well, and they're trying to make him a suspect. I mean, Barry's accusing
yeah,
him from the beginning. So we all know
yeah,
you have a
exactly,
slicker.
yeah.
So,
So
one other thing I wanted to mention, just as one of my favorite things about the movie, is Helen's chase scene slash death. One of my favorite sequences in a horror movie. And I feel like Halloween 2018 ripped it off. That part where she's in the store and all the mannequins are covered in the plastic and like he's going to be there. She's just standing there scared, she's looking and he's there, but still when he jumps out and grabs her, I still jump out of my
that is
seat.
one of the freaking
That's
jump
what I figured.
scares that I always. It does not matter how many times I've seen that movie. I
Yes.
could, she's literally like in a maze of mannequins
Yeah.
that are covered in plastic so you can't see, and you know basically which one it's going to come from, especially if you've seen the movie 150 times.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, the music and the atmosphere and everything builds to it, and then all of a sudden, blah!
Yeah, that part scared the crap out of me. And still, it always makes me jump. And yeah, Halloween 2018 did the same thing in Jamie Lee's house with all the shooting dummies upstairs, and Michael jumps out from those. Like,
Uh,
I don't know, just her. I thought her scene. I'm glad that she got a longer scene, and I was actually sad when she died. I really was. I didn't like Helen at first, but she grew on me, and I was sad that she almost got away and then she died. But her chase scene and that whole thing is one of my favorites out of any slasher movie.
so I think I'll elaborate on said point a little bit more because early on in the movie, it seems like she's one of those characters that is very expendable and probably
Yeah.
isn't going to make it very far into the movie. But hats off to Sarah Michelle Gellar for, and part of that is the way it was written too. But at the same time, you know, she definitely grows on you and you build sympathy for that character and all of that. So Helen actually isn't necessarily that weak, ditzy blonde,
Right.
big boob babysitter that goes upstairs when she should be going out the damn door.
Like, she becomes very you see her become very vulnerable, which, you know, I think is
Mm-hmm.
good. You see that she's scared and that, yeah, she keeps telling herself it's an accident, but you can tell she feels bad. And then, the shit with her sister, like, you know, and you can tell that she's
There's
upset about the
multiple
husband.
layers to Helen.
Yeah. And I love that her and Barry, you can tell they're kind of like, you can tell how much they care about each other. And he even becomes vulnerable where you can see that he cares about her. And he's like, I'm not going to let anything happen to you. And their cute little smile they share on the float. Like, I'm glad that Barry
Yeah.
didn't die being a complete prick. Like, he was kind of having a little bit of a redemption arc. And then you know, he cared
Yeah.
about Helen and wanted to protect her, and so I'm glad that they gave him that before he got killed, so he wasn't just this piece of shit.
I was going to say he fought till the end, but technically he really didn't because Ben Willis came in from behind him out of nowhere and just
Yeah.
right in the middle of the damn pageant.
Yep.
So,
So yeah, good
do
times.
you happen to have a top 5 list?
Oh my god, I forgot. How did I do that? Oh my god. I was making my notes this morning and then we had to go out to the house. You do yours first and I'll think of one real quick. Oh my god. It's like the first time I've forgotten.
For shame. Just kidding. Because it's
I
not like I
know.
haven't forgotten as well, but we're even. So,
Oh, sorry, real quick. One other thing I wanted to say about Sarah Michelle Gellar is that I was so happy that she got this movie and like kind of had the career that she did, because I loved her ever since her very first role on All My Children playing Susan Lucci's daughter. Watching that, the way that she was able to come in as a sweet innocent girl, then become this like, evil like person she was, I was like, this girl's going to be a good actress. So I was really glad that she's kind of had her career, because that's how long back I've been watching her, was playing Susan Lucci's daughter on My Children.
I,
So
I
yeah.
won't go down the respectful road as to why I love Sarah Michelle Gellar and the things that she's done career wise, because I know you feel differently than I do.
I guess I don't know what you're talking about.
Hashtag fuck Christy Swanson.
Oh, that, yeah. Well,
But I mean, it's one of those moral dilemma questions. You're a Stones fan or you're a Beatles fan? You're
why can't you be
a
both?
Sarah Buffy fan, a Christy Buffy fan.
I mean, you can be both.
I get
So,
at the end of the day you can. So, I didn't. I struggled trying to word the heading for this top five list, but I kind of sort of knew what I wanted, where I wanted to go with it. Um, so we're just going to go with teenage breakout stars,
oh, okay.
and my honorable mention is actually a tie. It would be Ryan and Freddie from I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Okay.
Just because I couldn't pick one or the other over the other. I feel
Okay.
like both of them launch themselves into the stratosphere because of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Um, so number five that I have on my list is Linda Blair
Oh,
from
okay.
Amanda's favorite horror movie, The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Harvey because we have culture between the two of us. We know that The Exorcist is a great movie. Um, and shout out to Friday the 13th, the OG. But my
Mm,
number four is Kevin Bacon.
okay.
Let's see. My number three is outside of the horror genre,
That's
but
cool.
still a pretty significant um, teenage breakout performance. But Leo DiCaprio in What's Eating
Mm,
Gilbert Grape.
yeah. Good one.
Now we get to the two that, well, the one that's going to piss off my co-host because my number two
Okay.
is Laurie Strode herself, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay. It do not put what's her name, Heather Langenkamp over her because she didn't have a good.
Oh no 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 no
Oh,
no no
okay. I was
no
like,
no
come
no
on.
no. My number one. If you stop and look at the, especially in the last 25 years, the money that this person's movies have made box office wise, the person is a huge freaking box office draw.
Okay.
Um, but my number one is from the greatest horror franchise of all time, the original Nightmare on Elm Street itself,
Oh, okay.
Jonathan Depp.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I would agree. I mean, I don't know. I'd put him and Jamie Lee as far as how famous they are.
I could I
But
could
yeah,
make arguments going either way for both, but to me, I think the straw that broke the camel's back, like I said, was box office numbers, and nothing against anything that Jamie Lee Curtis has done in the last 10 or 15 years,
yeah,
but Johnny has had just a smidge more box office success.
true.
So,
Surprised you didn't have Winona Ryder on there. I was thinking of her before you said Johnny, but
I can put her as an honorable mention. Honorable mention number two.
okay.
So,
All
Did you
right.
come up with something?
I did. And luckily, this one was easy for me to do. So, my top 5 is horror movies that are based on or contain urban legends. So,
Ironically, that was going to be my other one.
nice. So, my 2 honorable mentions would be The Ring and The Curve, which is a movie a lot of people don't know about. But it's like I'm trying to like describe it. It had Matthew Lillard in it and Kerry Russell, and it was like
The
um
1990s version of the Brat Pack.
yeah, I don't know. It was just good. It was weird. I've only seen it like once or twice, but I liked it. Okay, so my number 5 is Trick or Treat, which is a fun movie. It's a little anthology movie with all kinds of, you know, and I'm tying that with Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which I also really love, but there's part of it I can't watch. It's kind of like Creep Show. It has a part that is so horrifying for me that I have to skip it. But the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark and Trick or Treat are very similar, and I thought they were both good. My number 4 is Candyman, because duh. Number
Rest in peace,
3,
Tony Todd.
yes. Number 3, oh, this should probably be higher, but because it's already built into the name and we know, I'm going to put Urban Legend at number 3. Still really cool. I love all the use of all the different urban legends in it. That I thought that movie, it gets shit on a lot, but I think that movie is so much fun. Number 2 is going to be the one that I grew up believing was a real thing. There's been a few different movies that have kind of been loosely based on this, but I'm going to go with the OG, a thing that always scared the shit out of me, When a Stranger Calls. The both the original and the remake are really good. The original, the middle part of it, I really hate. I usually only watch the beginning and the end now. But the first like 20 minutes of When a Stranger Calls is one of the most horrifying things I've ever watched. It was so scary, and it still scares me. So, and then number 1, I Know What You Did Last Summer. So there you go.
That's almost like that was a well prepared top 5 list that has been marinating for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Oh. Did you have any that I didn't
Um,
have?
no, I feel like you hit the big ones.
Nice. Before we do our reviews, I don't know if you read this or not. I'm guessing you probably did, but I wanted to tell people in case they didn't know, because I was today years old when I learned this about this movie, that I guess there was some kind of contest for people to be able to write or contribute something to the movie. And so the scene where Jennifer Love Hewitt is yelling, "What are you waiting for?" That was written by a kid. That scene was created by a kid who won this contest. And so I think that's so fucking cool. Like, and I don't know how I never knew
Created
that, but
and
that's
directed.
awesome.
The kid actually got to direct the scene as well.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay.
So definitely shout out to that person for
Yeah,
getting
what a cool idea.
that kind of nod. Well, I mean, to get that kind of I mean, let me turn my page back so I get the number right. But I mean, the movie had a $17 million budget,
Yeah.
and I know it's only a little snippet of a moment, but you know, $17 million is a lot of money, and if this person screws up bad,
Yeah.
it can be a significant blow to Columbia Pictures' pocketbook.
I think
So
that's a really cool concept and contest to let people do. It reminds me of that thing that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon did back in the day, Project
Project
Greenlight.
Greenlight.
because that's how we got Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
So
Well, and that ultimately
that was a cool
Project
concept.
Greenlight was created on the whole idea of the two of them sitting down and coming up with and writing the script for Goodwill Hunting
Right. And they
and
wanted somebody else to have that opportunity, you
winning an
know.
Academy Award for it. And,
Yeah.
you know, granted, nobody had that moderate level of success that they had from the moment, but, you know, why not give people the chance? You know, you don't know. You could be creating the next, Steven Spielberg or whoever,
Right.
Michael Bay. No,
Yeah.
Michael Bay. Everybody can be Michael Bay. All you got to do is just attach explosives to something and blow it up.
Right. You get somebody to do a good score and you blow a lot of shit up. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So, if you were to rate the movie out of 5, what would you give the movie?
I love this movie. It's great horror, it's great summer fun. I love the eerie coastal vibes. I think the characters are relatable with the few exceptions of Ray, but that's not even the whole movie, it's just a few parts. I feel like they're believable as the characters that they are. Do I believe that real people would do all this stuff? Not necessarily, but I like them taking the whole hook on the door and turning it into a whole thing of a killer with a hook. Like it just. And I thought the plot twist was pretty decent. That they think they killed one guy, but really it's this other person. And we didn't even talk about Anne Heche, but her part was so like she was so freaking creepy and just it's a lot of fun. I have seen it a million times. It's just something I'll watch over and over and I don't care. So ooh, now is it like award-winning movie material? Of course not. It's a teen slasher, but based on my love of horror movies, that's the curve that we're going to use. I'm going to give this 4.25 Croaker Queen crowns. Say that 3 times fast.
No,
Little Miss Croaker getting sautéed tonight.
eat
uh,
me.
mhm.
So, yeah, a lot of my thoughts basically echo everything that you just said. Again, the movie's not going to be winning any awards or evolving the genre. It's a teen slasher movie that helped reinvigorate the genre
Yeah.
at a time when teen slasher movies were basically dying off, if not dead in the grave to begin with. Um, like I said, my biggest complaint probably was Freddy at times, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's still not something that's worth ruining the movie over. The movie is still a great movie. Um, it was written well enough that it leaves you guessing, especially the first time watching it,
Yeah.
throughout who actually it is, who done it, until you finally get to the reveal about, oh, it's the one kid. No, no, it's not.
Right.
But you know, it's got suspense. It's got you know violence. It's funny. All of that rolled into one. It's everything that a good horror slasher movie should be.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna go 4 out of 5 dried up, washed up has-beens.
Nice.
Shout out to somebody's screen name on the screen. So this was definitely lots of fun, though. And shout out to the co-hostess with the mostest for coming up with the idea for a whole month of Summerween movies. Um, again, thank you to the listeners for being here each and every week. You guys show up and show out like nobody's business, and we appreciate that very much. So, as long as you guys are here and supporting, we gladly will keep delivering amazing episodes for you guys each and every week. Um, like I said in the opening, coming up, we've got our 50th anniversary celebration for Jaws. We've got Friday the 13th Part 2. We've got It Chapter 1, Hitchcock movies, a tribute to Wes Craven in August, Stephen King Birthday Bonanza, Halloween Horror Fest. Lots of great stuff is coming up over the next couple of months. So you can find us on the social medias and stay updated as to what's coming up and where and when to be there. Um, I think that's about it. I don't want to go too deeply into the schedule because one, we haven't booked that far out yet, and I don't want to be that long-winded host that keeps everybody longer than they should. So, with all of that said, this was a lot of fun. I look forward to being back here again next week for another great Summerween movie. I would tell you what it is, but I have no clue at this point what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So, um, we will let you guys know what's coming up and when. Um, you can plan on either Jaws, Friday the 13th Part 2, or Chapter 1.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, and we will go from there. So thank you guys for being here. Co-host, are you ready?
I am. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. I hope you had fun. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and we hope you all have a happy, happy Summerween, Summerween, Summerween. Goodbye.
You had to go one more time, didn't you?
Hey, I said I still have 2 more left. You want me to do it again?
I mean, I haven't hit end stream yet, so
No,
you may
we're
as
good.
well. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Okay. Bye.